Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Woo! Welcome back, traders. How are we doing, guys? God bless each and every single one of you. Today, we're going to be going over stock ticker NIO, baby, and giving you a broad update on what you had the last week, right? So taking a little peeky-weeky at the charts. We're going to go over A to B to Z, everything in it in between. But I want to go over this quick little fact from Robinhood I thought was fascinating. Robinhood showing fair value for NIO at 650, right? Showing a 4-star rating, and then also showing a buy over hold and sell of 72.4%, right? Only a 3.4% sell for NIO. Why might that be? Well, we're going to go over why that might be just a second. But if you guys like NIO stock, right, slap the subscribe button, punch the like button, and let's get straight into it, guys. Looking at the stock, there is some uncertainty, right? You do have a daily golden cross that most likely happens on Monday morning, but you have such a beautiful accumulative structure on the weekly time frame as you zoom out here and you just see, right? Just look at that freaking setup. Shoulder, head, right shoulder. And although you're looking to potentially gain this uptrend as a new support once again after falling below it last week, regardless of what happens, right? You could drop all the way down to 360, guys, and I would still be bullish because that is the low of this left shoulder, right? You double bottom 360 and then you bounce out. Why I don't think that it's going to happen is you already have this double bottom kind of formation, guys. Look at that. You got the big fat, you know what it is, right? As a former trader once said, just looking at the very stark similarities, right? Where did you reject this midline? 605. Where did you reject this midline? $7, right? So you're making a higher midline here, and you're making a higher bottom. I think that's bullish in my opinion. When you look at the broader structure of this formation, of this shoulder, head, right shoulder, and truthfully, guys, this thing feels like it's being traded by robots, right? Look at this bottom, double bottom. Look at this bottom, double bottom. What do you have here, right? You have another double freaking bottom. Look at this bottom, double bottom, right? So before you see anything, I think it's very likely on this thing that you see a wick into this gap fill on the daily time frame, and we're going to go over that in just 1 second. Look at this hammer candle, right? Look at this hammer candle that you had down here back in March of 2026, guys. This candle, this little mother you know what, left a gap at 459, right? That gap at 459 has yet to be filled, even though you came all the way down to 466. I think once you fill that gap, guys, you are so immediately bullish on NIO stock. And although we lost that weekly uptrend, guys, you take a little peeky-weeky at the daily time frame, and you still have this very intact local time frame uptrend, right? Just taking a look at it. That was your double bottom uptrend. You tapped it here. That was your kind of retest, right, before springing off of it into the summer run of last year. Now, looking at it today, it's very likely, in my opinion, that you see a short-term rally into the 9-day EMA, currently at 499, reject that, and come back down to fill this freaking gap, guys. I'm excited for what next week has for us, has in store for NIO stock, because truthfully, right, just look at the absolute dumpster fire that has been the last 72 freaking days, right? And I was saying the exact same thing all the way back here, traders. This has been a dumpster fire on this slide down. This slide down was much longer, though, and much more drawn out, 125 days. These elongated drawdowns do not last forever. And just like we're getting the death cross here, the 50 through the 200-day EMA, right? That is what a death cross is. You got the same thing back here, right? So nothing is forever. And this can easily be canceled out as soon as you find a bottom here, right? Just look at the price action that had occurred once you got the death cross, right? We'll take the measurement until you test it. So about 42 days later, you test it, right? So even if you trade kind of sideways into this gap fill, and let's say end of July, maybe August, similar to back here, right? You start to see this thing pop off. I think that's very, very likely in my opinion. And it only took traders one test of the 200 before you found a higher low on bullish divergence, and then shot through, right? Boom, boom candles up 15% of the daily time frame. I think you're going to see something very similar. Just looking at the historical context of this stock and how it trades, I think it's very likely that the bottom is almost in on NIO stock and that the best is yet to come, in my opinion, right? You still have gaps on the daily time frame left from this slide down, right around 590. 590, what is that? 597, and I think 590. 573. 597 and 573 are your two daily gaps, and you do still have this gap back here, all the way back at 711. So many gaps to the upside. You only have one right now to the downside that is within proximity, right? So fill that gap, find a bounce, and hopefully, right, get out of this falling, broadening wedge, traders. Every single time you've seen a tap, ignore that line, right? We'll get back to it in a second, but every single time you see that tap of the downsloping support, you either see a test of the 9-day EMA or you see a test of the top resistance structure, right? Look at this tap here. Tap the 9-day EMA, that's that red line. Come back down, tap it again, and then you tap the top line. Come back down, test the 9-day EMA, higher low, test the top of it, right? So even if, right, let's say you don't come all the way down here around $4 to tap this down sloping support, I really think that's unlikely in my opinion. In my opinion, it's much more likely you fill this gap, make a higher low, and freaking spring to the top of this, right? Test 560, which we know is key support and resistance on this stock, and hopefully get above it, right? Getting above 560 here, in my opinion, that is your last dump, your last pullback on NIO stock before you see something absolutely sacrilegious, something insane, right? As this thing comes to a close and potentially sees what is a shoulder, head, right shoulder formation with price targets upwards of $10, $15, right? Truthfully, you take the price target of this head, stick it on top of the neckline, we all know where that takes us, right? That takes us upwards of 18 freaking bucks with huge resistance at 16, as that was the top here, 16, 18 before seeing this thing slide down. But what we're watching for on the local time frame, traders, is the potential for this local time frame double bottom, right? Just taking this right shoulder into account, it looks so much alike the other bottom here and the bottom previous to it. And taking the technical profit target, right? You're taking this run up to the neckline, theoretically, right? That's your $7. And that gives you about $11 to $10, right? I think that is more than fair. I think that is very possible for NIO stock. And breaking out of that, traders, would give you the juicier, more freaking, right, more juicy price target for NIO stock. And I do believe that you're going to break this neckline at some point, right? 771 has always been the horizontal trend line in which we have seen this thing absolutely get slammed, right? Slammed. $7, slammed. Support here, rocket. Support here, rocket. Zoom back out. Rejected, rocket. Right here, reject, blast through it, rocket, right? And so that's what we're watching for on NIO stock for the daily time frame. You're going to get a death cross next week. Not the end of the world, right? It's very, very likely, in my opinion, that you see this thing trade sideways in the gap fill and then, whoosh, right, rip the freaking Band-Aid. And truthfully, not only do you have the double bottom, you also have this falling broadening wedge. A breakout from that, at minimum, takes you upwards of $7.55, traders. So a buy. Not financial advice, right? I'm not a financial advisor, but a buy down here at 460 to 459 at that gap fill could be one of the juiciest, one of the best opportunities in NIO stock's history when you look at the broader projection of this stock. right? Now looking at the weekly time frame on TradingView, why do I think the bottom is close to being in? Well, when you look at the RSI, right, the RSI is in a broader uptrend on the stock. And you could see this break. That would not be great. You would probably see a larger move if this breaks. But this uptrend has really, really, really brought in some great gains on the stock, right? 65% from here. That's your literal bottom, right? So every single time you're tapping this bottom, you're putting in a touch, at least here, of bullish divergence, and you saw some crazy moves, right? 45%. I'll call that a tap. 136%. That's a tap right there, right? 53%. And you're coming back to it as we speak, traders. So even if you see a blip in there to fill the gap and then a bounce out next week, in my opinion, right, put that 63 to 50% perspective, and that's bringing you straight to your neckline. What did you do when you made that cup-like structure into the neckline on that left shoulder, right? Rejection. Let's kind of just play this backwards, right? That was when you broke. If you do the same thing here. Double bottom into the neckline. Double bottom into the neckline. Theoretically, right? Theoretically, right? This should break. And you should see one of the biggest moves in NIO stock's history play out. I really do believe that, right? Similar here. Inverted head and shoulders on that swing back up. You saw they didn't even give you a chance to get into the freaking stock. They gave you a 40% weekly candle. They said, no way, Jose. We're absolutely annihilating the shorts here. And that happened off of the breakout of this downsloping resistance. Well, traders, today, that downsloping resistance from that big, big drop down to the right shoulder neckline to your most recent rejection of the double bottom. That today sits at around 619, right? So getting that gap filled, seeing a healthy bounce and breaking this trend line will lead, in my opinion, to some crazy shit, right? Just being honest, right? Transparent. I do believe you're going to see this break at some point, as you have the Russell 2000, right? Our small cap index making all-time highs at 300. This has been our thesis from the very beginning, that you're going to see this thing continue to outperform the S&P 500. And when you look at it, traders, right, just freaking look at it. The Russell 2000 has been going in freaking sane. Outperforming SPY. This is not the chart, but this is small cap stocks outperforming the blue chips to the metric that you have not seen since 2021, guys. This move up, you know what happened, right? That move up generated this move up on NIO. Now, we're not saying that that's going to happen, right? Nobody's saying that that's going to happen. Not financial advice, but this move up happened during that move up from IWM, right? We can very clearly see that if we pull up IWM's chart and put it on new pane, and you can see once you went into that markup phase, let me kind of tweak my settings a little bit. Give me bars and give me a deeper red. There we go. Get rid of the RSI. And we can see here, right, look at that. Whoosh, whoosh. But except you haven't gotten that same play out on this macro V line here, right? So IWM is absolutely tearing off of this cup retest, bam, right? And it's only going to be a matter of time, in my opinion, before NIO stock also follows the broader market, right? So all that to say, This thing looks freaking bullish in my opinion. I'm excited for next week, even though you might make a lower low on this local time frame. I truthfully hope that this brought some clarity to all the NIO shareholders. I know we've been covering a lot of AMC because there's a lot going on in the AMC community right now, but I truthfully believe the best is yet to come for NIO stock. I'm jacked. I'm excited for next week. Let's get it over with, right? And let's see some more of the freaking boomy, right? Some more green candles on NIO stock. On the quarterly time frame, we'll do this and then we'll wrap it up. Even though you've seen a little bit more of a negative quarter, right? And you open the new quarter on NIO stock, I believe that's August 1st. Yep, August 1st. I'm still bullish, right? Look at the volume depreciation here. You should see this break either this quarter or next. And off of that break, you should expect a decision on the MACD either up or continuing down bearish. And as the months and the quarters have gone on within this right shoulder here, of the shoulder, head, right shoulder, right? You've seen the bearish momentum slow as the volume goes down. In my opinion, right, this often happens when the bears are running out of firepower to push this thing down. They just don't have it, right? The bulls, in my opinion, are saving their firepower for when this thing is ready to break out and see that macro move. Similar to this, right? You got the quarterly MACD cross. As soon as you broke the neck line right here, you have a very similar setup here. So if you see that, right, you see the volume begin to step up off of this downtrend of the right shoulder, similarly to what you had here, you should see some insane freaking volume, guys. And the candle on the quarterly time frame from that breakout was 174% and 129%, right? That is the kind of move that we're looking like potentially seeing on NIO stock, right? That is going to be your confirmation on this thing, breaking above 771 and getting a weekly close above that target. So God bless you and your families, traders. I hope you had a freaking-tastic Friday. Hope you're getting outside on Saturday. And as always, traders, like, subscribe if you want to see more NIO content. I'm always down for it. You guys know I love the community. And as always, traders, the best is yet to come. Let's freaking go, man. Let's go, guys. Woo! Woo!